folks, it's episode 6, Dorohedoro. The Kaido versus Noi. Well, we'll see if they get interrupted again, as they have beforehand, because you know they both pinned down some craziness what we saw last. So, what's going on with Crunchyroll in this skip recap thing? Like, what are we doing? This is not a recap, bro.
It's part of the episode.
Yep. This is why it's Netflix status out here. Oh, we just skipped the opening. Okay. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, she getting decked. She getting pounded. Yeah. This makes me think of the fucking beam, bro. Oh man. She's probably out there cheating. Oh fuck. No.
Just gotta use distraction. So is he playing the non-assuming idiot? Is he really a threat? All right, she still thinks Noi is that guy.
Nice. Wait a minute. Oh man. Oh.
She's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh. God damn. The crash out is real. Brother turned everything into mushrooms, bro. Fuck.
I'm telling you, the anime show is really. Oh wait.
Oh man. She's got to knock your boss out.
Well, they're cousins, so that's how cousins play.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. Man, bro. Meanwhile.
So now they're back in the hole.
Yo almost actually took his head off. But now his dad's about to die for this. Snitches get stitches, as they say. Yeah, I think dad is cooked. I'm sorry, bro. Yep. Yeah. Oof. Oh, damn. Oh.
手術室の方から聞こえるよ。
Oh shit. Both arms.
あげよう。じっとして。
Oh,
いや、まさか生きてる魔法使いがいじれるとはね。妙なことしやがったらぶん殴るからな。
With what arms, bro? With what hands? So how's a man with no hands gonna handle this?
今さらいらねえ。
Well, at least he isn't saying his father's looking up.
うちの家訓はやられたら必ずやり返せだ。
おい少年、切っちまった腕はどうする？
全部またくっつけてくれ。
そんなアホなことしたって元通りにはならんぞ。
That's wild, though.
腐るだけだ。
This is where he's gonna meet Noi.
魔法使いの世界に行く。
I mean, obviously that's Nikaido. That's just walking around with the Goiza.
わかった。約束する。
Yo, down
数
bad.
時間後だった。病院に46人の町内会メンバーが運ばれてきた。
Yo.
なんだこりゃ、バラバラになってもいい。
でもするよ。
I love that trope. When someone's talking about you, you sneeze or your ear itches or
魔法使いは
Hello.
二階堂さん、お食事の時間ですよ。
This man is unhinged.
and would walk in like that.
窓の外に誰かが。それより、俺の作った餃子食べて
I
くれ
mean,
よ。
don't worry about that.
Mind you, that shit burnt as fuck.
Yeah. Bro, that shit's so burnt. The animators didn't even try. They just made that shit completely black, bro.
それってまずいっていうこと？
Yeah, bro, it's bad.
センターに注文してただろ。いつからカイマンが作る。
もらえるパスのようなものだと思うよ。
Ah, shit. Yeah.
また二階堂が魔法使いだとか言うんだろ。
実際そうなんだよ、カイマン君。私たちはこの手で彼女を手術した。魔法使いの体は人間とは違うんだよ。
Here we go. Mm-mm-mm.
どうしたか？
Ugh!
Oh, it's the okay, the roach thing.
化け物め！魔法の煙の町か雨水の影響か。
Oh. Jesus, let's smack this man. Oh shit. Bodies is just piling up.
死体？まさか行方不明の練習被害者か。
Oh, bro. Now imagine the roaches were like this, bro. Oh hell
Yo, I
no.
would yeet myself into traffic so fast.
なんでないんだよ。
Oh my god. No. Slash this.
Man's got Jordans on.
Yo, that's a whole new meaning of taking this man's ankles. Oh shit, wait a minute.
お前見たのか？
Death by taking ankles.
Breaking eggs, taking names.
Crazy work. Alright, Nikaido, you got some explaining to do.
最近根拠のない噂とともに魔法使いに憧れる若者が増えてるんだ。
Youth.
彼はホールの歪みが生んだ犠牲者とも言えるね。傘いるかい？
Youth, though.
Makes sense. Well, it kind of ties into what you and I were talking about before we started recording today.
Mm-hmm. This man.
God, I want to kill him. Just fucking,
Well, yeah, what an episode. Starting off with, Noi getting her eye clearly poked out, but she's just superhuman. So as a sorcerer, ain't much phasing her. Um, she's being teared from limb from limb. I wonder how do you kill Noi given her abilities? Um, yeah, in general. Well, I guess you got to kill the other. No, is it? Well, I guess that's one of the parts I'm confused on. If you kill the sorcerer, then all of their magic and the people that they've affected with their magic, the effects are all gone, right? So with all the people that Noi has, technically saved, like Ibisu and Shin, like if Noi dies, do all the body parts that she's helped regenerated also just decompose and die? I mean, like that's a question I got. Like, obviously, if Shin dies and the people he's mutilated, I wonder what happens to them. In the case of the person that turned Kaiman into the lizard, obviously we know if he's gone, then the assumption is that Kaiman's going to turn back into being having a human face again. So I guess it's even adding on to the mystery of what is Nikaido's, magic and why is it so sought after, so legendary, because that's what it's the general assumption is right now. Yeah, so like as I was talking through it, I guess you could say I fixed my like
all right,
questions.
figured it out.
Yeah, figured it out. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So stemming from that right now, there are humans that want to become sorcerers, right? We obviously know that because of the rise of sorcerers, there's so many bad things happening in society because of the people that are abusing their powers. But it has created a new work-life balance for these doctors because the more patients they get, the more things they have to fix. At the same time, when there's so many coming in, that also creates an imbalance of issues. It was interesting to see Shin's backstory per se. I already knew his you already knew his dad was getting packed up, unfortunately. That much was already like that's tragic backstory 101 right there,
Yeah.
Tragic backstory 101.
Especially when you're a mixed kid.
Yeah.
Both your parents that get packed up.
Yeah. No, like broken home, down in the dumps, dad, like single parent, have to pull the weight of two. Mom's got, killed because he's a sorcerer by an anti-sorcerer association. It's you get the other side of the things, and obviously he went on to become what he is today, one of the cleaners for an N, literally losing control. He started crashing out, and it took Noi to literally knock him back to get his senses around. The fact that Nikaido hit her face, and obviously they know it's a woman, but they don't know it's her. So I feel like if N sees Nikaido straight up, then that'll trigger some type of flashback because it's obvious that they have history. What type of history? We don't know. We'll see in the next 6 episodes. Well, I mean, you might know, but because you've seen it. But yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. I think like they don't necessarily have history. It's just one of those situations where two people from two different worlds have a slight run-in with one another, and then their lives diverge, and then all of a sudden their journeys reconverge. Because unless Nikaido's has a different name, like it's not like it's not actually Nikaido. She only goes by Nikaido, but when he's talking to Shin about info that he's gotten, he's just like, yeah, she's just a girl who was a sorcerer who used to live here and left as a child, and we have no information after the fact. So it's like you have no information. Shin has N doesn't know, and obviously, their lives have so much has happened in their lives. Is it possible that you know, if Shin has a moment, if he really looks at her face to be like, "Oh, you're the girl I stole Gyoza from when I ran out the hospital that one day," kind of thing. Because it looks like for his story at the tail end of it, he did what he needed to do and bounced.
Yeah,
He
essentially,
didn't
yeah.
stay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's not more so on that. You know, we didn't really get much. Well, I mean, yeah, we got that Ibisu part. Her throwing up. Was that this episode? No, it was last episode where
I
she
think
threw
that was
up.
the
Yeah,
previous episode. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, where she threw. It's just Ibisu, man. She didn't really have any candy moments this episode.
Yeah.
Outside of the mushrooms that was growing out of her and the other dude who I don't even know his man's name. I want to say
Fujito?
Fujita. Oh,
Fu
Fujito.
Fujish. Yeah.
Yeah, Fujita
Something like
then.
that. With an F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to say Fujita. You know, but yeah. Other than that, yeah. I mean, we're halfway through and excited to see exactly now what is Kaiman going to do with the information that Nikaido is a sorcerer. Like everyone's been telling him and he just didn't want to believe it. But it's kind of funny how immediately after being told this and it being confirmed, he hears her screaming and he's like running and to to save her and literally jumping out of windows trying to track her down because they have he has a code, but he's bending that code for Nikaido because otherwise he would have just, as minute she's on the floor, would have started chomping on her head, would have started asking questions, but it's something that he's been avoiding. And now with the gravity of it being essentially exposed, these next few episodes, I'm expecting there to be some conversations and some, like we got to this point now. You're a sorcerer, why didn't you tell me type of thing. So I'm expecting something like that to happen. As you already mentioned before, it's very possible that Kaiman himself is a sorcerer of a low level. And we don't know much about that. So it just further goes on to, well, sir, why are you killing sorcerers? What is the biggest reasons behind this, and what is that
Well,
now going to do?
I think they described it. They let us know exactly what the biggest
Mm,
reason behind it killing
mm,
sorcerers is. Sorcerers have
yeah,
always been taking advantage of the whole. They just
yeah.
don't have the association anymore. So someone has to clean up and,
Well, that's why like I want him. All right, so like everyone has a backstory, and so they haven't explicitly said why Kaiman is killing like sorcerers. That's what I'm waiting for more so. In these
oh, it
six
could have to do
episodes.
because he has
Well,
amnesia.
well, don't.
So it's
That's what
like,
I say. Don't say anything. Like I don't want
well,
any
no,
spoilers
no, I'm not
for
saying
that.
anything.
Yeah,
I'm saying from the 6 episodes that we have watched together,
yeah.
it could just be because he has amnesia
Yeah,
and
well,
now he's in this situation. Yeah.
that's what that because that's what I'm saying. Like because we know he has amnesia. The reason why he's killing the sorcerers, like what is the greater reason behind that? That's why I was saying like we don't want so that you don't
Oh, no, no, no.
do
Like,
any
okay.
spoilers
No, no. I'm
because
not giving you any spoilers, but I'm
like
talking
from
about like
six
in
up
context. No,
yeah
I do know, but I also it was 6 years ago I watched this. I don't
yeah
remember everything. Like things are happening. I'm just like, oh right, yeah, that happened. But
yeah
I think it's just when I look at Kaiman and the situation he's in, and we look at the world that he's living in, it's he has an objective to find the sorcerer that put this curse on him essentially.
mhm,
But because of what the sorcerers do anyway to the whole, and the whole no longer has the association to pack up the sorcerers who are coming down there, and it's been a
mhm,
couple years since that, just Nikaido and him are taking up that mantle. It's like, okay, well, if you can't give me the answers, you're fucking up my neighborhood anyway.
mhm.
Fuck up out of here. So to me, it's like that's why he's doing it. Do you get me?
Yeah, I
Like
could see
if
that. It's just for
because he doesn't go ahead, go ahead.
I could see that. It's just for me that's not I wouldn't count that as like the grand reason why like the
Mm,
as the greater purpose because like be mainly because they said he has amnesia, so there's a lot of things he doesn't know. So it's like when we get to the backstory of why, like obviously it's like one of those things. Was he a part of the anti sorcerer coalition, right? was he like, what is the backstory between him and the cross eyes, and does that have to do something with why he's also going after this, and why Nikaido also went along with it? So that's where
Like,
I'm
you feel like
getting at.
it's a what do they call it? A subconscious thing because of his whatever his previous life was could be influencing his actions now. Is that
Yeah,
like
well, but not only that, it's also the reason why Nikaido's going along with this. So that's what I'm waiting for, like those types of answers, which I'm expecting.
mm.
There are going to be some of them once we get into Nikaido's backstory, and then continuing on to what's the greater push beyond, season one. Because like, if at the end of the season, he just finds out who, what you call it, who turned him into a sorcerer, and let's say they pack that dude up, then the next question is, where does the story go from there? So that's why I'm not expecting
Mhm.
every single answer to be given, especially because knowing that the series is done, knowing that
Mhm.
this is season one and that there's a season two, it's more so where will season two, like once we like having more context after season one is done, like I'm trying to see where they're going to take the story afterwards. That's why I'm not expecting be like once they introduce once like well, writing wise, once you introduce amnesia, um then you have these characters do certain things that may not be in line with their character. That's what I'm trying to figure out more so. And
Mhm.
then you have the extra added layer of Nikaido and her backstory of how she got to this point. Why is she hiding her magic? How great is her magic? Why is that more like, why do people uh like care so much about it? Like, why was that guy flipping out? Like, these are just more layering questions. The fact that she's just going along with Kaiman, who's just killing sorcerers. So that's
Mhm.
what I'm like, with all of those things, how much meat on the bone to carry into season two. So that's what
Mhm.
I'm expecting, that we get a little bit more answers for, especially because season two is going to be another 13 episodes, 12 episodes or so, and there was an OVA. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. In terms
Mhm.
of, because Kaiman and Nikaido are your two main characters. So where does the arcs lead afterwards? Like, because we have an overarching plot, which is, let's get Kaiman, let's find the sorcerer who turned Kaiman into a lizard, right? Um,
Mhm.
if this season concludes with Kaiman fighting them and let's say killing that sorcerer, then what's the next part of the story? Like would it have to deal with Nikaido's backstory, or is it going to diverge into like end? So that's where I'm looking at to see exactly, because
Mhm.
then the narrative kind of shifts away from Kaiman, because we kind of completed the reasons why he, like, especially if, like I said, I'm just taking a guess, but like let's say, like I would not expect for them to find the sorcerer at the end of the season, but I won't be surprised if it's happened, because then at where we're at right now, 6 episodes in, and things are moving pretty fast, and that's been like the whole entire reason behind the moving force behind this. But we have now layered the fact that Nikaido is a sorcerer, and so there is backstory for her missing that can kind of overlap, and then any in
Mhm.
relationships between Nikaido and En, that could be done. Nikaido and the devil, Ibisu's backstory. So there's a lot more stuff to like
Mhm.
go on, but it's how they interweave those into the story. And
Mhm.
from what other people have been saying is that, oh, there's a lot more crazier stuff to come. So I'm just wondering,
Mhm.
where does Kaiman's story with him becoming a human again, or not becoming a human, like, was this a where exactly, how big of an emphasis is that in the overarching story, is more so where I'm looking
Okay.
at. Yeah. Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So yeah, that was just
Oh,
me.
okay.
Yeah, that was just me. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So like for just yes. So yeah, for this episode we get Shin's backstory. and a better understanding of what happens when there's an overcorrection,
Mm-hmm.
and how even though there are people who are trying to protect their home, there will always be people who go above and beyond, who do too much, and that's what happens with the association. And that's why the doctors want nothing to do with them, because it's one thing to protect your home, it's another thing to continue to abuse that power
Mm-hmm.
in guise of protection, and we know that happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we know that the sorcerers previous to this were coming down into the hole and experimenting on people for a while, until the the humans of the hole were like, enough is enough. Um, what is interesting to see is that what happens when what would make a sorcerer and a
Mm-hmm.
human fall in love and marry, let's say they were married, and create a family. Was there a world before all this where intermingling wasn't seen as a bad thing?
Mm-hmm.
Was there a shift that happened where we needed to segregate humans and sorcerers? Like, what was that shift? Or could it have possibly been sorcerers who saw their magic as a privilege and was just like, well, let's start fucking shit up. So it starts giving all sorcerers a bad name, and now
Mm-hmm.
everyone's got to be wiped out, right?
Yeah.
So it's that thing of killing Shin's mom, who, as we saw, was just living her life. They killed her after she bought groceries, right after she just had a baby,
Yeah.
with no recourse, right? So it's very possible that she was just a regular woman, fell in love, trying to live her life, and they were like, no, you're a sorcerer, get fucked.
Yeah.
To then have Shin's dad, like you said, single dad, who loves his son, working very hard, teaching his son his craft, and to have that prejudice of sorcerer, even though, like, it's a prejudice in a way, because then they start opting for rewards for information on sorcerers, and that by proxy does take out sorcerers who aren't using magic, who
Mm-hmm.
aren't causing harm, right? They're rounding up all these people because they're different, which, it becomes a cycle of how much abuse can we throw onto one another
Yeah.
until we're all wiped out, or as we see here, till the hierarchy becomes so vast, the class divide becomes so vast that sorcerers are just now fucking shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to then have a better understanding of Shin, where he's just like, damn, me and my dad were just living our lives. We didn't do anything wrong. Um, you're you killed my dad because you wanted to. Um, and it's well within my right to seek revenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then to then go, okay, if these fuckers are like this, that means you're all like this. So time to pack you all up.
Yeah.
Um, and it gives us a better understanding of when he comes back down to the hole, he's like pretty much like, fuck this place, because
Yeah.
this place abused him. It spit him out, it abused him, it ruined his life. um and so now he holds nothing but disdain. And we know a lot of people like that, right, where
Yeah.
their circumstances really brings them to their wits end, to the bottom of the barrel, to their lowest lows, rock bottom, and they do what they can to get out, and then they visit home and are truly like, fuck this place, did nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes him more empathetic, right? It doesn't excuse the violence that he does later on, right?
Yeah.
But it makes him more empathetic, because it's like, yeah, he was just a kid living his life and had a crash out, an understandable crash out. To then juxtapose that with Nakaido, whose backstory we don't know, but when we run into her, she's obviously I don't we don't know if she's like a lot younger than everyone. She could just be small for her age, and then, has a
Mm-hmm.
growth spurt. But to see that she left the sorcerer world so young to already set up a business right there in the hole, to trying to advertise that business, who gets run, that Shin runs right past her, and he's obviously a teenager, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very fascinating to see how this girl, who we can assume just based off of the mystery of her magical abilities and her connections to people in the sorcerer world, might have been that of a higher status there, and what that means, like a fall from grace, so to speak, to
Mm-hmm.
someone who worked his way up into sorcerer society, who was born also with magical abilities, but people abused him for being different. To then looking at the doctors going, yeah, this is crazy, seeing this kid chopped up, understanding him, but going, yeah, we'll help you. It is what happened to you is fucked up. And to know that there's still that kind of empathy that lives in this world, right?
Yeah.
Where they can see the sorcerers as bad, sorcerers that hurt people, but all right, kid, like, this is wild that you just came up in here and start chopping yourself up. Using it as a learning opportunity, and then which then lets the audience know through how they're speaking about sorcerers and sorcerer anatomy, how different it is from human anatomy, that there are magical like veins within them
Yeah.
that grow, and that's where these magical abilities come from. So I think that's quite fascinating. Um, I think like, jumping to the beginning of the episode with N crashing out, it is very much a wonder of, can he not tolerate the disrespect of someone hitting him? And he needs someone
She
like
got clocked.
now, Noi. Yeah, Noi to be like, bro, don't act like a petulant child. You're just fucking destroying everything because she punched you in the face. Like, you're doing too much. And maybe that's always been her thing growing up, like their thing growing up. Like, yeah, you're being really extra, but because I don't have the wherewithal of you to move in like gangster business like you, I'm just now a hired gun to keep you in check and to work in the family business while you run the empire. And I always find those dynamics fascinating, that the person you think is the most powerful probably is, but they still need someone to keep them in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, just Nikaido's connections, like how she's on a first name basis with the devil. And is it like is that a normal thing, or do people just call this guy the devil? That she But it's like, how is it like she's been so far removed from this life that she still needs to pay her way in. The fact that there is a business for other people's smoke in the sorcerer world, and
Yeah.
how it's, and obviously seeing Ebisu's name there, and now circling back to 2 episodes ago where that guy was just like, hey, we know Ebisu, like what was Ebisu doing before all this shit popped off, right?
Yeah.
How powerful is her magic, that a little like drinking that powder fucking like, she
Yeah.
expelled in such a insane way, that what is her lineage? Um, yeah, and then finally, after the doctor speaking to Kaiman, like, bro, it's time you accepted facts that she's a sorcerer. Um, and how he still loves his friend enough to run after her and protect her and save her. But what does that all mean later, right? Um, but once we get introduced to Johnson and this guy, how the conversation is, I need the black gems. Now, where are the black gems, like the powder? Is it
Yeah.
just a concentrated form of magic that you can only find within test subjects? I mean, and that's why he can't find any within Nikaido, because she's an actual sorcerer as opposed to an experiment. Um, and then um, doctor saying that because of how everything is so warped there in the hole, and him just like in his dying breath going, I wanted to get the fuck out of here. It's that thing that happens in a lot of society, where our realities get so warped that we're willing, when we are all in the struggle, that some of us are willing to hurt the other people around us just to get a leg up and get the fuck up out of here, without empathy or sympathy for the people who are in the struggle with us. And there are a lot of people like that. And it's the idea of, if I can step on as many heads, step on as many shoulders to get the leg up, I could pull the ladder up behind me, and at least I'm out. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out ways to try to make your community better, right?
Yeah.
That he's willing to take people who have been abused by people the way he has, who live in the shithole the same as him, and would rather kill them and take from them with the hope of getting out. But it's very fascinating, and I really appreciate that there are layers to this that we're showing the class divide and the social divide um, within this series while all this really crazy shit is happening in a fantasy setting. It's yeah, I feel like when I think about it, there are other shows like this. Obviously, this isn't the first show to talk about these ideals and these themes. But since we just watched it recently, it is very much a bookend to Gachiakuta and the world building in that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it all very fascinating and like it just seems like even though we're watching this in preparation for season 2 and this is a show that I enjoyed, like I said, I only watched it one time and that was when it first came out. I haven't watched it since. I haven't engaged with it, but it's
Mhm.
just every couple months or so, please come back. Please come back. We miss you, Dorohedoro, and just excited for it. But like you and I, when we watch things, it just seems to be very timely, very apt to things that you and I talk about personally in our lives and the things that you and I are dealing with or have dealt with,
Yeah.
and to what's going on in the world. So just throwing that out there for the Dorohedoro audience who are just joining us on this journey and haven't watched our past stuff and things like that, who are just getting introduced to us. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like with just how crazy this series is, um, I think that people who like Gachiakuta will like this. Or I mean,
Mhm.
if you're the type of person like me and you who picked up on those classist themes and themes of pollution and abuse of power and oppression, I think you'd like Dorohedoro.
Yep. Oh man.
And then vice versa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
between both of them, yeah. Like especially
Yeah.
because of the themes in Gachiakuta, and I mean, hey, both series are series that we might be picking up for the manga. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I guess well, I guess with that said, folks, we'll be catching you guys for episode 7 pretty soon. So the only thing to do is stay tuned. Check out our Patreon. Because most likely by the time this video has reached, we most likely would have been done with the full season of Dorohedoro, waiting on, the season 2 to drop. So
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
said, we'll be catching you guys next time. You already know. That was this.